Tony Burke, the Minister for Home Affairs, and Nigel Ryan, the AFP Acting Deputy Commissioner. This morning, I convened a meeting of the Cabinet where we were briefed on the latest intelligence on yesterday's attack in Bondi. And I've just come from a meeting of the National Security Committee where I also invited Premier Chris Minns to join us, along with the New South Wales Police Commissioner. At 4 o'clock today, the New South Wales Police Commissioner and AFP Commissioner will be briefing the National Cabinet, and I'm continually receiving updates from our national security agencies. We'll work hard over the days ahead to keep Australians updated on all of the developments. And on that note, I want to provide people with a few updates on work we have been doing. We are extending the funding for the National Council for Jewish Community Security and its state-based community security groups to provide overall security cover to the Jewish community as part of that. That is included in my EFO, but we're preempting that announcement today. That's also for capital works and can be utilised for guarding costs incurred by individual Jewish organisations across Australia. We're also working with Jewish community organisations to see how we can best support charity efforts, including through tax-deductible status for donations, and we're doing work on that. The government will also quickly work through the process of a declaration under the Terrorism and Cyclone Insurance Act that would ensure that insurance companies are able to pay out to local businesses for eligible losses. We're also working on support for funerals that will be held, but also visitor visas for people who are relatives wishing to visit Australia for the funerals, and I'll ask the Minister to comment on that. I do want to make a couple of more points as well. This morning, I met with police who were on the scene last night, some of whom had been up all night. These are brave people, many people who were off-duty police, headed towards Bondi last night from as far away as Newcastle and the Central Coast. They did so because of their commitment to their fellow Australians and the diligence that they show. And I think we need to recognise their incredible work at a time as well when 2 police officers have been seriously injured as a result of the efforts and bravery that they have shown. What we saw yesterday was an act of pure evil, an act of terror, an act of anti-Semitism, an attack on the first day of Hanukkah targeted at the Jewish community. A dark day in Australia's history on what should have been a day of light. And visiting the scene there at Bondi this morning, it was a very physical reminder of the iconic status of Bondi Beach and the Bondi Pavilion. I opened that pavilion after the refurbishment just a couple of years ago. It is a historic place. And the fact that this was a venue for this act of evil that was clearly calculated by these perpetrators is just an outrage and a shock to the community. One of the things that is coming through, though, is that the community want to be able to express their support and solidarity. And I would urge and join with others who have urged Australians across the country to light a candle, put it in their front window tonight at 6:47 p.m. to show that light will indeed defeat darkness, part of what Hanukkah celebrates, of course. We are stronger than the cowards who did this. And I want to conclude finally by saying that the government is prepared to take whatever action is necessary. Included in that is the need for tougher gun laws. And this afternoon at 4 o'clock, I will put on the agenda of the National Cabinet tougher gun laws, including limits on the number of guns that can be used or licensed by individuals. A review of licenses over a period of time. People's circumstances change. People can be radicalised over a period of time. Licenses should not be in perpetuity. And checks, of course, making sure that those checks and balances are in place as well. We will I'll take to National Cabinet this afternoon a proposal to empower agencies to examine what can be done in this area. Quite clearly, the Howard government's gun laws have made an enormous difference in Australia and are a proud moment of reform, quite rightly, achieved across the Parliament with bipartisan support. If we need to toughen these up, if there's anything we can do, I'm certainly up for it, and I hope to get National Cabinet on board for that this afternoon as well. I'll ask the Minister to make some comments, and then the Acting Deputy Commissioner, Nigel Ryan, to make some comments as well.
Thanks, Prime Minister. Yesterday was an attack on Jewish Australians. It was an attack on modern Australia. It was an attack on Australia itself. And all Australians stand together against that attack. The police who were there standing together against the attackers, first responders standing together against the attackers, and even a bystander like Ahmed standing there, putting their own lives at risk against those attackers. The Joint Counter-Terrorism Team involving ASIO and the Australian Federal Police, with the investigation being led by New South Wales Police, needs to be allowed to do its work. While that work is happening, though, there are needs for the community right now. One of the additional things that the community have raised directly with me is because of the number of people who will have family members overseas, not only in Israel, but in other parts of the world, who will want to be able to get them here rapidly for funerals. We have set up a specific section of the department rapidly dealing with visa processing at a pace that would not ordinarily be there, to make sure that, given the often speedy nature of funerals in terms of the timeline in the Jewish tradition, to make sure that we maximise the chance for family members to be able to be reunited here at the worst of times. The Department of Home Affairs is also doing other work, as the Prime Minister referred to, with respect to working through a way to assist with the cost of those funerals. And finally, my department will stand ready for any of the outcomes that come out of the meeting of National Cabinet today with respect to the work that needs to be done on gun laws.
Thank you, Minister. Thank you, Prime Minister. Again, our thoughts are with all of those that have been affected by this senseless act of terrorism. The AFP continues to work seamlessly with our partners in the Joint Counter-Terrorism Team, being New South Wales Police and ASIO, in relation to Operation ARCS. There has been significant police operational activity in the past 12 hours, and this will continue into the days and weeks ahead. I must stress that this is an active and ongoing investigation, and I'm very limited in what I can say. But we do commit to providing timely updates to the community when appropriate. The AFP will use all of its specialist capabilities and resources to thoroughly investigate this matter in conjunction with New South Wales Police. The AFP will also continue to engage with affected communities that have been affected by this tragic event. The AFP stands firm in condemning any form of violence in our communities or any form of extremist behaviour, and we will work tirelessly to stamp it out.
Thank you. Questions? Here, and we'll just go along. And that way.
Was warned in February that anti-Semitism, I should say, was the #1 threat to life. Is that still the case, and have you taken these threats seriously enough? And Acting Deputy Commissioner, if I may, it's my understanding that Sajid Akram moved to Australia in the late 90s, I believe, in Pakistan. Is that correct?
I can do the immigration.
On the latter, the minister will respond. We take ASIO's advice very seriously. We work closely with them. We receive regular updates as well. The Director General of ASIO has warned about a range of threats, be it anti-Semitism, the rise of right-wing extremist groups as well. And we continue to work closely with our security agencies on the...
In terms of the father and the son is an Australian-born citizen. The father arrived in 1998 on a student visa, transferred in 2001 to a partner visa, and after each trip overseas since then has been on resident return visas, which has occurred 3 times.
In Pakistan?
At this stage, given New South Wales Police are leading the investigation, I have cleared to be able to talk about the visa history, which I've done.
When did the son first come onto the radar of ASIO? Why? And was he part of any terror group or linked to any terror group?
The son first came to attention in October 2019. He was examined on the basis of being associated with others, and the assessment was made that there was no indication of any ongoing threat or threat of him engaging in violence.
Do you believe that to be failing?
I've reported factually on what ASIO have found.
Your hand-picked anti-Semitism envoy has demanded to accelerate your anti-Semitism plan. You haven't acted on for 6 months. Do you plan to accelerate this in any way following this horrific event?
Well, we have acted and will continue to act on the implementation of the plan. The plan was announced right here in this room with the envoy, and I thank her for the ongoing work. A range of the recommendations that she made have been acted on. She recommended that legislation be strengthened to appropriately address anti-Semitism and hateful conduct vilification. Action 3.2. We've done the following. We've criminalised hate speech, advocating violence. We've criminalised doxing under Privacy and Other Legislation Amendment Bill. And we have a landmark ban on the Nazi salute and hate symbols with penalties of imprisonment and or a fine of up to $16,500. She recommended the strengthening of institutional accountability and university reform. We created the National Student Ombudsman, was established this year with strong investigative powers, same as those of a Royal Commission. We conducted the review of the Tertiary Education Quality and Standards Agency. It has commenced, and that review consultation power was released by the Minister in September, with responses due in October. Special Envoy is also progressing with administrative support from the Department of Home Affairs, a university report card evaluating university measures to promote inclusivity for Jewish students and staff. Recommendation 3.3 was on educational awareness and public discourse. We've allocated $4 million to expand the social cohesion work of Together for Humanity in schools. Recommendation 3.5 was the enhanced protection of Jewish communities through physical security measures, and I've commented on the further extension of that we are putting in place. Recommendation 3.9 was reviewing and strengthening migration and citizenship matters, and the Department of Home Affairs is undertaking a review of relevant training packages to strengthen modules on assessing whether an applicant's conduct involves inciting or promoting hatred and ensuring coverage of vilifying behaviour directed at any group. Recommendation 3.12 was support for Jewish communities' cultural, social and religious life while ensuring safety and security. We've committed grant funding, which we announced in January, including $8.5 million to upgrade the Sydney Jewish Museum, 4.4 for the National Holocaust Education Centre in Canberra, an additional $2 million to the Holocaust Institute of Western Australia, and we committed $18 million to the Jewish Arts Quarter in Melbourne. We'll continue to work at the levels with the envoy, including the number of the recommendations, of course, for state governments to implement as well. Paul?
Why did ASIO's interest in Naveed Akram not raise red flags that would prompt a re-evaluation of the father's license to have 6 guns? And when you talk about introducing more checks and balances, clearly in that situation, would you say that the gun license should be revoked?
Well, what's important is that the authorities be enabled to do their work. That's what we have done. I've reported to you accurately ASIO's advice, including the timelines, which were done in 2019. The assessment was made because of the son's associations that he had at that time, and the investigation went for a period of 6 months.
They closed the file, they didn't tell anyone,
Can I just
they didn't ask
clarify,
about
what are the
guns.
associations of concern? Who is the association?
Well, that's a question with respect to for the ASIO Director General, but it was people he was associated with rather than things that he himself had done.
ASIO closed the file,
Hang
didn't tell
on.
anyone else.
Hang on, one at a time, please.
Can we hear from Home Affairs Minister?
Sure.
If you're able to expand on those associations.
Oh, no, it's the exact same answer that the Prime Minister just gave, that the assessment of ASIO was with respect to his associations rather than at that point there being a personal motivation from him.
ASIO closed the file and didn't tell
No, you're making a whole lot of extra assumptions. We've given you the information and that's what we've given you. ASIO makes decisions as to what could be provided. We provided that with you.
Should they have told police so that someone could investigate whether a close relative of his was licensed to have firearms? Did they tell anyone else?
I've got full support for our security agencies, and part of making sure that they can do their job is making sure that information is brought out in the way in which we are doing it right now.
Are his other
We
family
got-
members being investigated?
just-
Are his other family members being investigated?
I beg your pardon?
Are there other family members being investigated? Do you have any concerns about the other family members?
I have full support for our security agencies, and I'm authorised to give you the information which I have given you.
And you would understand this is an ongoing investigation, and therefore we are not in a position to compromise that ongoing investigation. We have gone through the committees what we are able to tell you. We're providing as much information as possible.
Prime Minister, has Australia gotten complacent on gun control since Port Arthur? And in terms of the gun control ideas that you'll be bringing to National Cabinet, what is within your power to do and what do you need from the states?
Well, some laws are Commonwealth and some are implemented by the states. What we want to do is to make sure that we're all completely on the same page. That is one of the reasons why I'm convening the National Cabinet today as a matter of urgency. We will then task work to be done. As Premier Minns has said, he will task work in New South Wales. We want to make sure, though, that there's greater uniformity in these issues. One of the things that we have done, for example, is to provide substantial amount of funding support so that the issues that arose are out of the Queensland incident where you had a terrorist incident that resulted in the death of Queensland police officers, that information wasn't transferred across state boundaries. Now, that's something that we addressed at that time. We've provided funding for that, but we'll continue to work through those issues. Yeah.
Can the National Firearms Register move faster? And does Australia need a new firearms by that program?
Well, that's precisely what we're doing. Before us, there wasn't a National Firearms Register. That's the point. That's one of the major reforms that we're doing, and we will do it as soon as we can. In some cases, some state jurisdictions still had paper identification. That was what we were dealing with. Now, We are responding in a really practical way. If there's more that can be done, we will do it. We will do whatever is necessary. Yep. That's right.
You detailed a bunch of progress there on anti-Semitism, but speaking to members of the community last night, today, there's a sense of extreme bitterness that this was inevitable and that they weren't listened to. I'd like you to respond to that and this idea that it's been allowed to fester. What can we do now that this has happened to stand that out and make sure that that community feels safe?
Well, the community are going through a terrible time. This is an incident that is aimed at, by definition, terrorism is aimed at creating fear in the community. You have these two individuals who have engaged in a horrific act, one that is completely out of place with the way that Australia functions as a society. And it contrasts with the actions of police who rushed towards Bondi, the actions of Ahmed, who took the gun off that perpetrator at great risk to himself and suffered serious injury as a result of that, and is currently going through operation today in hospital. At the best of times, what we see is Australians coming together. And what I want is for Australians to come together, for this to be reinforcing the need for us to promote national unity. And that is critical. There is no place in Australia for anti-Semitism. There is no place for hatred, and people who were exercising their right to express their faith through Hanukkah had every right to expect that they could do that in peace and with a joyful celebration, which is what it's aimed at. Thank you very much.
Thank you.